Life, like the conversation, keeps changing. Get the first ever needs-matched life insurance that changes as your life changes.
Hello and welcome to the second week of the Dan Nicholl Show, the digital version, filmed not in our normal studio, but instead in lounges and studies around the world. Last week, Sean Fitzpatrick, Akani Sabina and Stuart Taylor. This week, we head off to Orlando in Florida, where Trevor Immelman chats to us. He should have been playing the Masters this week. That's now postponed until November. We also go and visit Schalk Brits with his menagerie of kids in the winelands. But we start with a man who can give us an update on a story that has been scandalously underreported on the sports pages around the world. I fear the Dan Nicholl Show as culpable as any. What is happening with the Maccabi Games, that sporting celebration of lawyers and accountants and dentists? Let's go to a man who's played at the Maccabi Games and is also one of South Africa's finest comedians, Nik Rabinowitz. Hello, Rabbi.
Hello, Dan.
I feel your pain, Rabbi, that the Maccabi Games have not been getting back page headlines. So let's cut straight to the chase. What's happening with the Maccabi Games? What is the status? This is the sports event that doctors and lawyers and accountants around the world excitedly have been discussing at Shul for months now. Where do we stand?
Well, luckily, Dan, the games are scheduled for next year. And I've got to say, I've already received not a call-up, but people noticed the performance recently against the Lord's Taverners of mine. And I have been asked to come to the trials.
So return to the Maccabi Games. Remind those people.
I'm not saying. I'm not committing to it.
There are going to be a lot of people very bemused at the moment. What on earth are the Maccabi Games? Just give us a quick snapshot of what's been probably the coolest sporting event you've been part of to date.
Well, it is. There are about 50,000 participants. You walk in, it's like the beginning of the Olympic Games, 60,000 people in the stadium. And did I say 50,000 participants? Maybe fewer. And of course, like you mentioned, the top Jewish men and sportswomen from around the world gather together, and then those 9 people play sport. It's a lot like the Special Olympics, but with more accountants. Not so many dentists. We don't go in for that anymore, apart from my brother-in-law.
All right. Well, I'm glad you've got some time until next year to keep going. You seem to have been practicing because a lot of the social media we've seen from Nik Rabinowitz has involved a fair amount of front garden cricket.
Yeah, there's been a lot going on in the Stoop. Adam is turning into a fast medium, medium fast, medium slow. We're not sure yet, bowler. Ben, I've got to say, is showing talent as a leggy. Dan, there's the flight, the loop, the turn of the leggy. He's got the googly. He's got the top spinner. We're working on the flipper. And then Sophie showing a little talent as well. The 3-year-old is coming through now. Likes to occupy the crease for a long time.
So basically just refuses to move when told.
Yep, pretty much.
It's been a couple of weeks now in which we've all been engaged in this bizarre world of ours. For the creative sides, it's mostly been an opportunity to use the internet as an outlet. Talk to us about your breakfast show each morning and the fun you've been having on Instagram.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. We've kind of been forced into doing things we may not have done otherwise. I was approached by an NGO that are involved in reforestation, planting trees all over Southern Africa. They're called Green Pop. And they said, hey, can we do this breakfast show? And I said, sure. And so I've been, waking up at 6:30 in the morning and making coffee and then having people on. And maybe you should come on, Dan. Talk to my kids.
It'd be a great honor.
My wife comes in and she's upset that I haven't put them, that I have put them on the screen. So I'm not allowed to put them on the screen. So they walk into frame and they start causing havoc, but I don't know, it's kind of fun. But
oh dear, there are a lot of young aspiring creatives who have got this space now. They don't really have an awful lot to do. They've got an internet connection, they've got a smartphone. What is Nik Rabinowitz's advice to the next generation of South African comedians to take advantage of this time?
I think you just got to get out there and make stuff. I was watching Seth Godin, who said, what a perfect time to blow it. There's no better time to blow it than now, when nobody's watching and nobody's paying. Like, well, this show, or people may be watching, but they're certainly not paying me.
All done out of mutual love, Nik. What about the year ahead? You will have missed out, I'm sure, on a whole pile of events. What's the most annoying? What's the saddest thing you've had to say goodbye to that would have been on the calendar before Corona touched down?
Sure. I don't even know. I mean, I'd maybe have to say it would be the Gardens Shul 10-year Friday Night Live anniversary that I wasn't going to perform at, because the rabbi phoned me and said, what are you doing on Friday the 14th of March, April? And I said, well, this is before lockdown. I said, that's a Friday, Rabbi. Are you asking me to work on the Jewish Sabbath? And he said, oh my God, are you mad? It's not work. We're not going to pay you. So, but I'm sad about that anyway.
If and when we finally do escape, what's the first thing Nik Rabinowitz would like to do?
I've got to say that Rob and Viren and I have started a bromance that began before the lockdown. We were meeting at a tidal pool in Cork Bay a few mornings a week for cold water immersions and just romantic conversations. And I look forward to doing that with Rob.
Is there a podcast that you two have been doing as well?
Oh, that's right. Yes, we actually started recording a podcast, a mid-pandemic, pre-apocalyptic podcast called And Now. And there are a couple of versions out on Spotify, Apple iTunes. And who knew I would be doing a podcast right now? I didn't.
Rabbi, keep working on those kids. I look forward to all three of them wearing South African colours at the Mugabe Games and more in years to come. Keep sane, and I look forward to making my debut on the Rabinowitz Breakfast Show.
I can't wait, Dan.
So there we go. He's one of my favourite comedians. He's also an absolutely fabulous leg spinner, wasted on comedy, great cricketer, and like the rest of us, doing his best to stay sane in the time of Corona. Next up, we head out to the Winelands and catch up with the ageless Schalk Brits. It appears like you're running a creche from what I can hear in the background.
Well, Dan, my wife kept on having kids. Don't know all of them are mine, but it's 3 boys, 8, 6, and 4 at home. It's quite intense.
I can hear them in the background. We've been locked down for a little while now. It's a special opportunity to be able to have lots of time with the kids, especially for someone like you who spent so many years traveling and being away for rugby. Is that still the sense, or are the nerves starting to fray just a little?
No, actually, Dan, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's catching up for lost time. Being away, only sleeping 15 days and 8 months at home. It is now time to catch up, and it's actually a great time to build relationships. And you find out that their needs are quite different, and they want their tank to be filled in different ways. Some of them wants to wrestle, some of them wants to read books and do all kinds of different things. So it's a fun time to get to know them, and not to get to know them better. And vice versa.
We, of course, got to spend some time together at the Emirates Stadium a couple of years ago. I know you're a big fan of Arsenal. You're a big fan of sport as a whole. How surreal is it to have day after day after day with not a single live game on SuperSport to flash over to?
Dan, it's weird. I mean, it is really weird. There is a lot of reruns. Just watching Tiger and Ernie back in the day batting it out, it's quite amazing to see a bit of golf. I texted AB yesterday or the day before when they played in those pink shirts and he made 149. It was a thing of beauty. But you appreciate the past now a bit more, and it's just weird not having any sport on TV or live sport. The one thing that is keeping us busy is we just bought a Vizsla, Hungarian Vizsla, and we're doing puppy training the whole family, so that's been intense.
There's also the chance to, if not watch live sport, then watch some past sport. Have you snuck in a viewing or two of the 2019 Rugby World Cup final?
Dan, you know what? I've not watched one game of the World Cup. The reason being I've got this fond memory, and I don't really want to spoil it. You know, it's from beginning to end. I haven't watched any highlights. I haven't watched anything of 2019 World Cup. For me, I want to remember it as my memory serves, and I don't want to change that. I know it's probably the thought will change in a couple of years' time, but for now, I haven't even watched one game or 1 minute of rugby of the 2019 World Cup.
Your kids and family watched plenty of it. They followed this remarkable rugby journey of yours that you had. In terms of the boys, do they understand now who Dad is and why people stop him in the streets and why you are such an iconic figure in South Africa?
Yeah, I think Christian, the eldest, he knows a little bit. He's at the age where he just wants to be a Springbok rugby player. Hunter and Luke James don't really understand it. They don't understand that time you have to spend with people you don't know. As time was quite precious when we were away. And a lot of the time when you're out in the public, you're not, it isn't just family time. But I think they've handled it very well. They're quite amazing. I must give compliments actually to Belinda. She's been the rock in our family. You know, it's sometimes they're oblivious to things, but the wife understands everything and understands the dynamics. And to spend time with her is the most important thing. And a good friend of mine said, how do you keep the family happy? It's show your kids how much you love your wife. And she's been amazing.
She has indeed, and you've had a remarkable partner through your rugby journey, supporting you. Now it's time to return the favour, and I know you've got a lot of family time enforced now, but very happily so to have it. You're playing football and cricket with the kids. What about you and Kalinda? Is there a series on TV that you're getting stuck into? Are you spending time doing stuff together in the evenings?
She's still working quite hard, to be honest, and I'm trying to get my head around business quarters with Johan Rupert donating 1 billion rand to help small businesses, small and medium businesses. So I'm trying to get my head around that and, you know, kickstarting my next career. But from a TV watching perspective, we in the evenings, we've started watching F1. I think I've watched one episode of that. But yeah, we just spend time talking and trying to catch up on lost time.
You've given us so many wonderful memories. There are lots of them one could choose from. But if we had to get a recommendation from Schalk Brits himself, what's the one game you played in for any of the dozens and dozens of rugby teams you played for in the decades in which you played the professional game? What's that one match we should look for to watch and to look back on and enjoy?
The one that I've got, although we lost this game, it was 99, giving my age away, Paulus against Grey Bloom at Makoter. And we actually lost that game, but it was sort of one of the highlights of my career, playing with friends that you went to school to from the age of grade 8, to grade 12. And it was just an unbelievable day with 15,000 people watching inter-schools. That was pretty amazing. The first time we've won one more game, I'll mention, is winning the premiership for the first time at Saracens. That was really special. And the way they've treated the memories I've made in London and at Saracens has been phenomenal. So those are the two games that I'll always remember. And then from an international perspective is beating the first time the All Blacks, I think it was in 2008 in Dunedin, and that was pretty special. This morning someone actually sent a picture of myself and Franz Steyn with proper 70s hairdo, looking like the Beatles. I'll forward it to you after this chat.
I look forward to getting it, and I look forward to seeing you in person when all of this is over and we can get back on the golf course
Same here,
together.
Dan.
But
I would rather prefer having a couple of glasses of wine with you and have a bit of recommendations.
All right. Well, maybe we can manage both when I get down to the Cape. Take care of yourself. Take care of the family. And it's a challenging time for everybody. But enjoy the time together. Make the best of it. And hopefully we'll see each other in person soon.
Yeah, Dan, thank you for lighting up my day with that blazer of yours as well, bud. Have a great day.
Oh, there we go. The coronavirus, unfortunately, delaying news of Schalk Brits' comeback ahead of the 2023 Rugby World Cup. And I'm sure we'll get to it soon. So there we go. Schalk Brits catching up during the time of Corona. Our final guest this week is a South African abroad who should have been very busy patrolling the fairways of one of the world's great golf courses as a former champion, but with no Masters. Instead, he's stuck with chatting to me. He is by some distance the most famous South African Trevor we have ever sent to America. Hello, Trevor Immelman.
Hey, Dan, how's it going? It's great to join you.
Oh, good to be chatting to you in a very surreal week. Certainly is a surreal time for us here in South Africa. How are you feeling over in America? And for those who don't know exactly where Trevor Immelman is at the moment, where is home right now?
Yeah, home has been in Orlando, Florida for almost 20 years now. And yeah, Dan, we're going pretty much through the same thing you are. Everybody is on lockdown, just trying to be safe and stay clear of this virus. It is so weird, though. You know, I've spent the majority of my life, almost, let's say the last 27 years, traveling all over the world. And you always wonder, or I at least have, when I'm in different places, you know, I wonder what people in Cape Town are doing. I wonder what people in New York, London, all these huge cities all over the world. And all of a sudden, when you have those thoughts, you realize that everybody all over the world is doing the same thing right now, just staying at home, you know, trying to take it easy and make sure we can get through this tough period. So it really is surreal. You know, I've been traveling so much over the years that I've never sat in one place this long before. So, you know, we're all just trying to get through it and hopefully move on to bigger and better things.
I know in the Nicholl household, there's a definite edge of cabin fever sweeping through. What are the Immelmans doing to beat the boredom and keep yourselves sane?
Yeah, we're hanging in there. You know, a 13-year-old son, Jacob, 9-year-old daughter, Maya, and 2 dogs. So, you know, fortunately enough, we've had good weather here in Orlando. So we've been able to at least get outside to our pool and in the garden and just throwing balls around, playing with the dogs and just trying to keep things going. But absolutely, you know, I haven't left my house really since the 16th. So it's been a few weeks already. And you're absolutely right. A little bit of cabin fever sets in, but it's for the greater good. Just trying to find something positive to look forward to. We can get back to our normal lives.
We chatted last week online from London to Sean Fitzpatrick. Like you, he's from one country but has been living in another for a very long period of time. Orlando, very much home for you now, but I know you're still an enormously proud South African, as your rugby tweets regularly show. Does South Africa feel very distant, very far away to you at the moment?
You know, I would say you could say so. You know, I still have a lot of family down in that Somerset West, Stellenbosch area. And so, you know, trying to keep in contact as much as possible and just make sure that everybody is doing well. You know, sometimes when you read different media outlets, you're not exactly sure what's going on. So you just need to reach out and make sure that everybody is doing well. And so far, so good, fortunately enough. But absolutely thinking so much about South Africa and fellow South Africans that are at home. You know, trying to be as disciplined as they can so that we can get through this.
Trevor, one of my great sports memories, I was discussing with some friends the other night, was 2008, was Augusta, was walking the course on that famous day, watching you play. And it's something you and I have chatted about since. But a question I've never asked you, and it's always fascinated me, and it's probably what I admire most about you winning the Masters that particular year. You played in the final pairing with Brant Snedeker, but you had a rather well-known American called Tiger Woods just a couple of holes ahead of you. And every time we did anything, the crowd roared. And there were 2 or 3 examples in particular where they went absolutely mad. And you at the time were standing over the ball, getting ready to play. How did you keep your composure? How did you stay calm, knowing that from the sounds of things, Tiger Woods was probably on the charge?
Yeah, absolutely. You could, back then you could understand totally the difference between the crowds roaring for Tiger Woods and somebody else. The energy that he brings to a golf tournament is, like something we've never really seen before. But I got to say, I felt like I'd had some experience in the situation. If you rewind back to 2006, I was going down the stretch against him here at a big tournament, the Western Open, and managed to win that. And then at the end of 2007, against a really great field down at Sun City, managed to win the Nedbank Challenge. So those 2 events right there, I felt like gave me so much experience and confidence to be able to stand on a stage like that and hang in there. The other thing in that day in particular was very blustery, windy conditions, wind gusts up to 25 and 30 miles an hour. And so on a golf course like Augusta National, where you need that kind of precision, and then you have that strength in wind, it becomes extremely difficult. So, I had my hands full just trying to manage this golf course and not throw this lead away to where I could just try and hang in there and try and keep my nose in front.
At what point did you think you had it won?
I got to say, I felt pretty solid midway through the back 9, particularly once I'd gotten through 15 without any hiccup. I hit it in the water on 16, which was a disaster. But when I left the green, I got a reception from the crowd that I knew that I was still in the lead. And once I parred 17 and walked to the 18th tee, a lot of people patting me on the back, saying, "Well done." And so once again, I knew I was still leading. And once I had hit my second shot on the green, I looked over at my caddy, fellow South African, Neil Wallace. I said to him, "Hey, Neil, how are we doing?" And he said, "Oh, no, you're good. You've got it. You got a 3-shot lead." And I was on the green in 2. And I was trying to do the math in my mind. And I was like, wait, 3-shot lead. So you're telling me I can 3-putt and win? And he looked at me and he was like, no, he's got this huge smile on his face. He's like, no, you can 4-putt and win. So at that point, I knew that, I couldn't choke it away. And, in fact, it was quite a relief because, shucks, I watched my first Masters on TV, in our home on the couch as a young kid in 1986, watching that second 9, the famous second 9 that Jack Nicklaus came back at the age of 46 and won his 6th green jacket. That was the first Masters I watched on TV, and I watched every year since. And all of a sudden, for that last 150-yard walk up the fairway there on 18, it was so surreal that I'd watched all these guys make that walk as a kid on TV, and now I was actually doing it. And so it was a pretty crazy, surreal, dreamy moment for me to get up there and see Carmenita and my young boy, who was a year and a half at the time, behind the green. It sounds cliched, but a dream come true 100%.
And it's one that, by definition of being a Masters champion, continues each year because you get to go back as one of the select holders of a green jacket. It would have happened this week. Hopefully it does happen later on this year. Big disappointment, but for the right reasons, certainly. What is this week like for you when you go back to Augusta as a former champion?
Oh, it's awesome. And one of the interesting things is I first went to the Masters in 1999 to play as an amateur. I'd won the US Pub Links here in the States, and that's what had qualified me to go and play. And so, I've been back almost every year since 99, and still going back there now. Every time you go back, you get those same young feelings, like you're this youngster, like a kid in a candy store. And the first time you drive down Magnolia Lane every year, it really is such a thrill. And one of the cool parts going back over the years is just seeing how Augusta National has started to get things even better and better and better. It just feels like year after year they make fantastic improvements to the event for the patrons, for everybody that is visiting. it really is an absolute thrill to go back. And I got to say, an amazing honor to go back as a past champion and feel like, for me, I'm some tiny little piece of the fabric of the Masters. It's something that is extremely humbling and something I'm very proud of.
As you should be, and you made us enormously proud and put big smiles on South African faces. I've got no doubt you will again as the rest of the year unfolds, which leads to the question of how the year might unfold. How does Trevor Immelman, professional golfer, see the rest of the golfing year possibly playing out?
Yeah, look, everything is up in the air right now. I think that's what's giving so many people, some kind of anxiety, is just not knowing a definitive timeline as to when we can get back to our normal lives. So, hopefully we can get through this as quick as possible with as little damage as possible, and we can start to slowly but surely see our sports leagues get back at it. I have no doubt that as the PGA Tour, who's working closely with the WHO and the CDC, gets more information, they'll make the right decisions to piece some type of schedule together, and then we'll get back at it. For me personally, I'm in a bit of a transition phase in my career. I've started doing a lot more broadcasting here in the States with Golf Channel and with CBS. And it's something I absolutely enjoy. I love still being a part of the game, even though now in broadcasting, but being a part of the game at the highest level, it's something that I thoroughly enjoy. I also enjoy being a part of a team, Dan. It's really one of the first times in my career that I'm part of a team working together for one common goal. And so, those are some of the reasons why I thoroughly do enjoy the TV work.
And you do it superbly. It's always a pleasure listening to you. It's also a pleasure watching you. And based on that, I'm going to ask in farewell for a bit of a tip, a bit of a hint here. Mm. I'm spending some time in my garden trying to hone my golf game. What should I be doing garden golf-wise, Trevor Immelman, to ensure that when I get back on the actual course, I'm playing Immelman-like golf?
Well, I think for your long game, what I would do is when you grip the club, I would let your pinky and maybe your ring finger off of the end of the club and just make some swings. And you're going to be amazed at that point how you start to feel the weight of the club head better. And that's going to really give you a nice sensation for that club head swinging back and forth. And then with your short game, what I would try to do is, if you're a right-hand golfer, just make sure that we'll say the word trail shoulder, so the shoulder that's behind, or if you're a right-hand golfer, the right shoulder. Try and make sure that you keep that shoulder moving through the strike, and try and keep your shoulder plane just a little bit more level. That should be able to give you a nice angle of attack onto the ball. Good, clean contact. I've seen the state of your garden and your lawn. I mean, it's pristine. So you should be able to nip those chip shots off there perfect, Dan.
I've actually been practicing off my trampoline at the moment with limited success, but you pointed me in the right direction now, so I'm straight off to go and practice. Trevor, very sorry we're not seeing you at Augusta this week, but hopefully it does play out, possibly October. Yeah. There have rumours, so fingers crossed that does happen. In the meantime, to you and Carmenita and the kids, keep safe and keep healthy, and we hope to see you back in South Africa soon as well again.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dan. Thinking about everybody back at home.
So there we go, wrapping us up this week on our digital edition of the Dan Nicholl Show with BrightRock as we steer clear of the studio for the greater good. A big thank you to all of our guests this evening. We'll be back again next week. Until then, stay at home, stay safe, stay healthy, and as Trevor Immelman says, smash golf balls around your garden. It's loads of fun. It'll keep you busy. See you next week. Goodbye.
Life, like the conversation, keeps changing. Get the first ever needs-matched life insurance that changes as your life changes.